Alright, well, if you saw last time, I got a 2000 Yamaha Blaster. 200cc, 2-stroke engine. It's air-cooled. It's a mini Banshee, if you will. And, well, I'm stoked. This thing does not run currently. The owner had this thing sitting for many years in his storage shed. What I'm jumping straight into today is cleaning it and pretty much stripping this thing down. Yeah, we got this thing for a steal. $900. Does not run. And I've been peeping for blasters popping up for the last probably 5 months. Seen a lot of them pop up, but they all want like 2,500. And I went with the 2000. I wanted a 2003 plus. Get the front disc brakes, get the different headlight. I think it's actually 2002. I might be wrong for the front headlight and everything. But it's got the drum front, drum rear. It's got the weird parking brake situation where the parking brake goes from the front lever through the bracket. Anyways, the back brake sucks. Main goal is to clean this thing up a bunch, make this thing look good again, and of course run even better. So throw a bunch of super clean all over it, try to clean this thing up a bit. I'm gonna spray it down right now with the power washer. Got it in the only bit of shade I can, because it'll dry too fast right now in this dry ass heat if I even spray it off. It'll be dry by the time I get around to it. So this is what we're looking like right now. This thing came out so clean, man. Sheesh, dude, I got all up in there. Let this thing drop. Let's see what we're really working with here. I think we might have got ourselves a gem here, boys. I really do. It is time we talk about today's sponsor of the video, Simply Carbon Fiber. So we've talked about them before. Simply Carbon Fiber, literally my most favorite wallet that I've ever had. That's a perfect cutout here for your thumb where you can easily access your credit cards. On the back, you have a money clip where you can easily access your cash. As a guy, carrying your wallet in your pocket sometimes can be a hassle, and having something like this wallet that is lightweight, easy to carry, and still looks good is a must-have. Get rid of that heavy blown out leather or duct tape wallet that you've been carrying around for years and grab yourself one of these nice modern carbon fiber wallets. Definitely my most favorite part is having the cash separate with the cards on the one side. The money clip, I always liked money clips, and it's just so sleek and thin. But Simply Carbon Fiber doesn't only just make wallets. They have glasses, phone cases, and a bunch more on their website, so make sure you check them out. Also, use the code MB10 to get yourself 10% off on your purchase. Take your Simply Carbon Fiber wallet, throw it in your pocket, you won't even know it's there. 100% real carbon fiber, sick for garage heads like myself who love little carbon fiber goodies, and I think you'll love it too. Make sure you check them out in the description down below. Thank you, Simply Carbon Fiber, for sponsoring the video. Now let's get back to the video. This thing has looks like it has TORS. I've never had the stock TORS like safety throttle situation that Yamaha does right here. I've never even gotten a Banshee with TORS still on it. It's the first time I've seen it. So we're gonna have to do a TORS delete. I just realized that. So we're gonna unplug that as well. Not too sure how that delete works. I know you have to get a different throttle cable. Looks like there's wiring to it too, so I'm not sure if you maybe have to like do anything for the wiring job. I'm stoked because we're gonna jump straight into a build on this thing. Oh, look at all that in there. I should have cleaned out. We'll do that next time. It is officially time to start tearing this thing down. I think this video is gonna mainly focus on obviously getting some stuff prepped, but a TORS delete and an oil pump delete. That's what we're gonna focus on in this video. And a big reason why this thing might not run, because the guy, what he was explaining to me, he thinks the carb's bad, but he said it just didn't want to start. And I was like, well, did it have spark? He said he wasn't sure. I know a lot of the times if the TORS goes bad, because what a TORS does is if you were to be stuck wide open throttle, like whiskey throttle, it's supposed to kill the spark on the bike. So it auto stalls after I think you hold it for a certain limit wide open. So it doesn't have a manual turn idle screw. It's all set off that, which is obviously a lot of failure. And there's a computer system up front. There's a lot of stuff that can fail with something like that. And that's just, we don't want that stuff. So we're gonna do TORS delete and oil pump delete, because also same deal. I run premix in all my bikes just because you know that if you're getting gas, you're getting oil. Could be something to fail on the oil pump. These have a plastic gear, which you will see, which could fail, could also go all over inside your engine. Gas tank's coming out too. Gotta drain that thing. This thing is stripped now, that's no joke. Look at all this TORS junk in here. You do not by any means have to strip your bike down this far to do this, but this is about to be a project bike for like probably the next couple weeks while I got parts coming in. So taking everything off, making it easy to access. As you can see, oil tank soon to be gone. Giant TORS situation soon to be gone. All right, so it actually looks like someone might have already did the oil pump delete, but they just unplugged the line pretty much because I'm seeing this looped here. So they just got this line up here and it was just kind of like hanging up here. So I guess they did, and then it's looped that line, which probably goes to the carb, which means they don't even have the nipple plugged up there though on the carb. But it's definitely not hooked up. I don't know how I didn't even notice that the first time, but we're gonna do it legit. I doubt they have the actual delete inside there, so everything else on this bike besides that looks like it has not been touched. All right, so we took the cover off on the throttle, and this is what we're looking like. This throttle is super smooth in here. It's got all greased up, but here is your TORS. This thing is what detects, I believe, if it's let off for a certain amount of time, it just cuts off the spark. So we're gonna unscrew this, pull this out. That's all this electrical going down. I'm not sure where it goes from there, somewhere tied into there. And then we're also gonna pull off this throttle cable because we're gonna change the throttle cable when we delete that TORS as well. So all right, we're all unscrewed and free. All right, and we got the one plug right there as well. All right, undid the throttle cable right there. So now we can just unscrew this part. We'll pull the whole thing off in one. Pretty much all we're gonna need off this is the needle now, and the spring and etc. Do not run these type of gas cap vents right here. These things have the smallest vents on them possible, and if some of these don't vent, a lot of people have blown their motors up from that. You need gas vent, otherwise the gas is not gonna pull through. So if it doesn't have the air coming through the top, it's not gonna pull through. And this thing right here could potentially be a lot of issues with your bike. That's some dirty oil coming out of that thing. I don't know how many of you actually even remember this bike, because I think I only mentioned it in one video, maybe two videos. But that mint KX100 I got in trade for my KLX 110 finally sold. Boys, we already have some blaster parts showing up for the blaster. Blast parts for the blaster. Vito's carb rebuild kit. Grips, we had to get some grips, had to get the little low rise for the thumb throttle pieces. Oh, it's the rear brake. It's the rear brake, the shorty brake delete to get rid of the long cable. So yeah, that long cable that ran from here all the way down and then connected through here and then ran to there, and now it's just gonna be a quick little, this way, boom, and it changes the adapter on the actual foot brake. Yes, sir. A little oil pump block off plate, a little billet plate, and the OEM gaskets and the clutch case gasket. So.
What was your question?
I'm gonna have to look into where that spring sits. I feel like it sits in there in that little hole. I feel like it definitely does. But alright, so here's the oil pump. Oil pump has a couple Phillips screws right there, and that's that little thing that we got the plug for. That little horizontal thing. And then we got the plastic gear right here, which if this thing failed, think about that. It can literally get sucked right into that gear. It can damage some stuff. So I mean, obviously it's plastic, it'd probably break apart before it really does, but oil pumps, I'm just not, I've never been a fan of like any oil pump on any bike, especially if I'm gonna be ripping on it, like any bike, so.
It's hard to find guys just harassed. People are being mean to you, saying fucking shit to you.
So I don't think you have to, but there is a seal in there. I don't think you have to take it out, but you might as well, right? So I'm gonna take the seal out and then put this cover on with the gasket for it. This is all the pieces I just removed, the plastic gear, some C-clips, a pin. This is a socket I used to knock the seal out, and the oil pump itself, and some screws. So we got that on there now. I put some sealant in there with the gasket. Got the Kickstarter hooked back up. About to slide this bad boy on with my new seal right here. And then this is a nipple block off, I believe, for the carburetor. All right, we got the case back on with the brand new seal in there. As you see, we got this sealed up. I put some Honda Bond in there. Next thing we're gonna work on is cleaning this carb, rebuilding this carb, and doing the TORS delete on the carburetor. So, button this up over here, put our beauty cover back on, which I sprayed some SC1 on, brought back to life. It looks pretty good. All right, some more blaster parts showed up. We got good old red Pro Taper bar pad, the OEM chain guide. We got, this should be our TORS delete kit. Looks like, yep, top pad to our carb slide. We got the idle screw and the drill bit that you need to tap it into, and the tap, and the new throttle cables. But yeah, here's our carb. It is really dirty and gunked up, and you can tell it's sat a while, just some spots in there. We got new jets and air fuel screw and gasket right here. So what I'm going to do now is pull off this gasket, clean this carb like no other, and hopefully the float's good. It didn't come with a new float, so we'll test that too. And clean it all back up, put it back together. Alright, it's a fresh carb rebuild kit. Comes with everything, like even this crusty old thing. Busted ass O-ring. Now we got a freshie right here. And we got O-rings for it right there. The float needle was crusty and rusty up at the top. We got a brand new float needle too. So grab some transmission oil for it, and we got a new plug for it too. So we're gonna throw the new plug in. This plug actually didn't look too bad, the one that was in it, so that's a good sign. But it's a little wet, but overall the burn looks pretty good. A few more parts showing up for the blaster. We got a chain, we got new brake pads. Did not realize the brake pad is that big, but new brake pads. And now we're about to drill and tap the carburetor in this thing. So I'm gonna put the idle screw on this side because it's on the outside where the choke would be. So we're just gonna literally take our drill bit from our kit, drill this hole straight through. Obviously I'm gonna take apart the whole carb again. That's a given. So pull the whole carb apart, drill this hole right through. Then we're gonna take our tap and obviously tap that bad boy in there. Just make sure you use obviously some lubricant, because it is aluminum, and you know how aluminum is. You're gonna pull those threads right back out.
You feeling free in my absence? I've been
Probably can't see it in there. We got beautiful threads in there now. As you can see, I shaved it down. It's not completely flat, but I filed it to the point where the file was almost touching all the way. It was just kind of hard to reach in there. Air and carb cleaner and got all the metal shavings away. So now, in theory, this idle screw should thread right in. Now we have an idle screw that we'll have to set once we put the slide in there, but I'm going to go ahead and rebuild the carb now with all my carb pieces, and the TORS delete should be done. Alright, so from what I've seen, you have to loop this TORS part that comes from the actual main harness to the one up to the throttle. So I cut the one off the throttle cable piece and looped it right here with the little butt connector and heat shrinked it. So that's on there now. So that should be everything, I believe, for the TORS delete. We got our carb tap for the idle screw. I put in a new case vent line as we got up here running. So now I can go ahead and get my throttle cable ran and start putting together the rest of the carb. I have brand new carbon reeds on the way too, but they're not here yet. So it sucks. I don't want to put my carb in and everything and try starting it and then I have to pull it all back apart to put the new reeds in. Just found out that the cylinder is missing a nut right here, so that's not a good sign. I'm gonna put a nut on it. Hopefully it doesn't have a leak right there. That could have been a reason why it wasn't running. Alright, so we got the oil pump cover back on there, and I cleaned it up a lot. It was like super faded, so I used some back to black. Got it shining again, and we're looking good, dude. This bike is cleaned up so nicely. Like, there's a little bit of rust spots, as you can see where paint has chipped, little surface rust spots, but that's it. Other than that, this bike is super clean. At first, when I first got this blaster, I didn't like the way the headlight looked on this thing, but after seeing it a little bit more, I'm really liking this old style headlight front on these. So next thing we got to do is going to be more on this rear brake, putting in the shorty cable, hooking up the carb stuff. I'll go ahead and throw my grips on now, and then chain and chain guide as well in the next video. So I'm gonna put my grips on now, and then that's pretty much gonna do it. Next video we'll finalize everything, put the carb on, put the shorty brake, put the chain on, and hopefully hear this thing start for the first time. I completely disassembled the brake over here. As you can see, it's crazy how the shoe's working here, and then the one brake shoe was actually completely seized in here, and I think that's why the brake wasn't working, because you'd push down and there was no type of movement in the brake at all. So the way the brake shoe works in here is it literally slides in this groove, and it's like a drum, but it's the style of a disc. So it literally just pushes it with a spring tensioner. All right, new grips are on there. Pro Taper grips, low Pro Taper bar pad. This thing's looking fresh. That's gonna do it for this video, boys. If you guys are stoked on the blaster, make sure you guys leave a thumbs up. Check the description down below. Grab yourself some MOPBOYZ gear, and that's gonna do it for this one. I'll see you in the next one.